excited as we are for this webinar, and we have a few quick ground rules before we begin. So if you have any questions, we request you all to put them in the Q&A box. If you ask us these questions in the chat, it's most likely going to be missed because of the number of chats that we receive. So if you have any questions that you want Matt to address, please ask us in the Q&A box, and please refrain from sharing any external links from the chat box, and let's keep the conversations related to today's topic. And for your certificate of attendance, please share your full name. We'll be sharing a poll at the end of the webinar. You can fill up your full name and you'll receive the certificate within 48 working hours. So that is, these are some of the ground rules that we have. I can also see a few of them mentioning that they have been studying Agile and Scrum. So thank you for sharing that with us. It's great to know your background. So we will also try to address your questions as it comes along. So I'll quickly take you all through today's agenda and what we are going to cover. First, we're going to look at why Agile matters beyond IT. Agile is not just about sprint boards and stand-ups anymore. It's influencing how entire organizations think, plan, and also deliver value. Then we'll actually zoom into the Scrum Master role itself. What does a Scrum Master actually do today? And most importantly, what kind of mindset does the role demand beyond just following a framework? This is something that we are going to be talking about. We'll also unpack core Scrum principles and values like mentioned earlier, and we'll also clear up a few common misconceptions that many professionals carry even today, especially when they are preparing for the CSM exam. After that, we'll talk about the CSM certification, what the exam really tests, how to prepare effectively, and also what candidates often underestimate. And finally, we will also show you how SimplyLearn CSM certification training fits into this journey, and not just from an exam point of view, but from your career point of view. And we'll wrap up with a Q&A session. So feel free to note down any questions or pass it on, share it with us in the Q&A box, and Matt will be answering those questions towards the end as well. I hope the context is set. So let's just get started. Before that, I'll quickly tell you a little about SimplyLearn and what we do. We have already helped over 8 million plus learners advance their careers across 150 plus countries by empowering them with digital skills. And we do this in partnership with global universities and industry partners. Like you can see on the screen, some of our industry partners are Google, Microsoft, Scrum Alliance, and a lot more partners like you can see on the screen. And some of the key numbers that we wanted to highlight here is that our learners have reported a 50% salary hike on completion of courses with us. We've also been rated 4.8 out of 5, and we have a graduation rate of 80%. So these are some numbers which talk about the learning experience that our learners have with us. So we really would like a lot of you, all of you, to actually join us for our courses and explore our programs as well. So that brings me to one of the most interesting parts of the webinar, and something that I personally love doing, that's introducing the guest speaker. So today we have Mstt Kirlov. So Matt is someone who has spent years teaching, not just teaching Agile, but also living it in real environments. Like, he's worked closely with teams and leaders, and as they navigate change and conflict, and brings in a lot of experience as well. What I personally appreciate about Matt's approach is that he doesn't just treat Scrum as a checklist or just about ceremonies. He focuses on the mindset, human behavior, how teams actually collaborate, and that's where his experience comes into place. He brings a strong coaching lens as well, with a lot of deep Scrum Master experience. He's one of our mentors, and he's been teaching learners for a really long time now. So today, as we talk about Agile beyond IT, Scrum Master responsibilities, and preparing for the CSM exam, you're learning from someone who has helped teams create meaningful and sustainable impact, and someone who has been a mentor to many as well. So you are in great hands today. And Matt, I'm sure everyone would love to hear more from you. So over to you.
Hi, everyone. Great to be with you guys. 26 of you from all over the world, really. So I am very grateful to be amongst you. And so it's a great thank you for the graceful introduction here. Yes, I have more than a decade now of, well over a decade of Agile and specifically focusing on Scrum experience. Like you alluded, most of my time I have spent juggling between a Scrum Master and an Agile coach with multiple teams, organizations. And some of my primary interests are team dynamics and understanding how teams, individuals, and leadership tick, and how to foster that continuous improvement and innovation within organizations. Mostly in the financial technology sector, really all over the world. But interestingly, for this particular session, I actually have hands-on experience in multiple disciplines out of IT. So fintech, mostly in IT, but I have a wide range of Scrum experience actually in outside. And a good example now I can offer is mechanical engineering, for example. So looking forward to connecting with you and your questions, and I hope you find this session insightful.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction, Matt. I'm sure everyone's waiting to hear a lot more from you. So I'll just quickly move on to the main topic now about all about Agile. So let's just start with a simple truth. Most of us have actually felt at work. Things move fast, priorities change mid-quarter, customer expectations change overnight. So these are things that happen a lot, and sometimes the current framework does not work. That's why Agile today is not just a tech framework, it's become a way of thinking about work, teams, and leadership also across organizations. And I feel this is also where Scrum really steps in, not just as rituals, but a mindset that helps teams innovate, collaborate better, and also respond to change without chaos. So, Matt, I'd love to bring you in here from your experience working with teams and leaders. When organizations stop treating Agile just as an IT methodology and start treating it as a mindset, what actually changes on the ground, and why does Scrum become so powerful at that point?
Yes, one of my favorite questions. I'd like to flip your question around and actually answer better to better illustrate it for us. What happens if the mindset doesn't set in? And so you feel like you've walked into the inner parts of a robot. If the mindset is not present, delivery might be great, but it's just about moving parts. It's about enforcement, process, very cut and dry. You see the mechanisms moving, but just like the robot, you spend a few seconds being amused, and then you can't help but being struck by how lifeless and in the long run, you wonder if that robot it really gets it, right? The process is right, the robot is doing the right things, but you're wondering, is that robot going to continuously improve? If that robot, and I'm using the metaphor of a robot of an organization, but does it have the flexibility to adapt and overcome adversity, or is it going to go back deeper into old habits when things get tougher? So mindset is extremely useful. It's not just the overall feel, but it's the collective collection of culture and habits and all the things that make an organization respond quickly beyond all the mechanics, really.
Right. Thank you for that wonderful
Mm-hmm.
explanation. And one more question I had was regarding adaptability and how organizations adapt quite quickly, survive than most other organizations out there. So, does Agile principles help them in this process, and help them become faster with their responses and build stronger teams as well?
Oh, ab absolutely. Um, Agility enables faster learning, safer failure, continuous improvement. That's why engagement, quality, and innovation improve together. So, just to illustrate about adaptability, we no longer see, if we look at the Fortune 100, even the Fortune 500 companies, it's just a handful of those who are around towards the top, just even if we look 20, 25 years ago. And there's a good reason for that. whether it's agile or agility or some form of innovation in the processes and mindsets that was inserted within that organization. In the last quarter century, obviously, agile took organizations to great lengths to infuse that adaptability. But in general, those who don't adapt tend to not survive. I mean, they go towards the bottom of that list, which tells us it's obvious. You look at the numbers, they're less competitive and comparative advantage dissipates when they're not adaptive. And that is true more than ever nowadays in the current crazy, I'm not afraid to use the word crazy landscape and market.
Right. And also that brings me to another question. Like you mentioned earlier, Agile is being used in different functions as well, like marketing, HR, finance, and not just in IT anymore. So, from your experience working with enterprises, how are non-tech teams actually using Agile today, and what changes when these departments like HR or finance start thinking and operating in an Agile way, especially because you have been working with teams like that?
That's a great question. And just the other day, well, it's been maybe a month now, but I taught one of the classes for SimplyLearn on Scrum, and we had somebody in class from mining. And you would think mining is a very highly regulated industry. It's all about compliance, regulation. You have to make uh, plans, mitigate risk constantly, dot the i's, cross the t. You you wouldn't think agile in mining, and to the contrary, I kept giving examples about sensors, and we brought that person into the conversation. They joined in, and we found that common language, and I'll go even further. Although Agile and Scrum in particular found its roots in IT, it left IT a long time ago, and I don't think it's about to go back into IT. It's here to stay in the different industries. What I've actually found myself is that because industries out of IT rely heavily on the principles and the values of Agile and all the habits and the entire ecosystem, it's adapted at times. It feels like it, and that's just my experience that it's almost easier to adapt it outside of IT. But to kind of circle back, industries like marketing, talent resourcing have been, what else? Even finance have been utilizing adaptive methods for a while now, and they're wildly successful. And we're getting more and more papers, white papers out there, and numbers are showing that agility is doing excellent. Yes, this is a good prime example of the areas where Agile is thriving. But even beyond that, manufacturing is a great example, and I worked with one of the biggest agricultural companies in the world, and of all things, we were making grain powder with different machines and different fans, and we were using Agile principles, and we're using basic Scrum to productize and help them think in what they were working with, these mechanical engineers, in terms of products and productizing work. And we were widely successful. They were able to reorganize the way they work and how they thought about work. And this was done over, I'm going to say, at least 30 teams. So we're talking a decent part of the enterprise. And we kept working on an enterprise level, including research and development within agriculture, which is a prime example that if you can succeed in agriculture with mechanical engineers that prior to this, their mindset was, hey, I'll work on this machine, then I'll run into something, and I'm going to move on to work on something else. And you change their mindset to, hey, we need to focus our work. We need to prioritize our work. We need to work towards goals and become goal-oriented. that gives me hope that any business out there can take care of business agility.
Yeah, those were some really good examples, especially with agriculture and manufacturing. Some of the places where you would not think of agile sometimes, right? And I think that also brings me to something many of us are probably thinking, that we hear the title Scrum Master everywhere, but the role itself is often misunderstood or oversimplified sometimes. So, Matt, could you please briefly explain what the Scrum Master responsibilities look like and how it might vary with the kind of industries it's applied in?
Oh, thank you for this question. One of my favorite questions out there, because the Scrum Master overall is a misunderstood role. So when they ask me and about a definition, or somebody out there is given a definition about Scrum Master, if the answer sounds too much like command and control, it's wrong. A Scrum Master is not a project manager. They serve, facilitate, coach, remove impediments. I live in the U.S., and so I'm not sure about the U.S., but I'm sure, Sweta, you and me, if we poll leaders out there worldwide, truly worldwide, and we said, hey, give us top 5 leaders that you're emulating of all time, I'm quite certain that Gandhi is going to make the list. And a lot of people say Gandhi, but really it's truly misunderstood that quiet power, why Gandhi was so powerful, why Gandhi was leading by an example, and Gandhi never forced things, never used that top-down explicit authority. Gandhi said, hey, do as I do, and led by example. So I'm using Gandhi as an example so that I can truly illustrate that pool of a leadership that's contagious, going out there and serving and leading as an example and modeling how the behaviors of a team and what it really means to collaborate and come together. Any of you guys, it's the most wonderful thing in the world. If you feel that magic of the team coming together and working as one, like a family, like a team in sports, it is unbelievable. And servant leadership is one of the magic components that make it happen on behalf of the Scrum Master. My French is really bad, and Sweta is going to laugh at me, but there's a French word out there called faciliter. I enjoy having French speakers in the class and help us out, French speakers out there in the chat. Facilitate, I'm told, means make things easier. So it's I always use the metaphor of the traffic cop. You do this, no, you speak now. We're going to speak. Just the other day at work, I ran into this where somebody said, "Hey, we're taking turns in order. This is how we've always done it," and I have that popcorn style kind of urge almost to liberate people, because popcorn pops whenever it's ready. People should pop and speak and interact with their teammates whenever they're ready, because the most urgent things will naturally swim up to the top, and people will pop or speak first. And so facilitator, it's not just, some of it is helping with structures. Sometimes you have a lot of people together, big groups, but a lot of it is that fine science and art of making things easier from the team, and not just communication, but collaboration, leading it. Coach, it's a mouthful. The last years, many years, coach, another misunderstood trait of a misunderstood role of a Scrum Master. It is the master enabler. So coach, here we have the mentorship and teaching components, but also coach in terms of enabling and being able to help the team find its potential and find the quality and better find its own way. It's almost like holding the flashlight rather than pulling somebody by the hand and telling them which direction to go, but holding it masterfully, holding it, being also there to do the other, helping the team with the checks and balances. And some of Scrum is deceivingly simple, but it could get very complex when its delicate checks, invisible checks and balances are in danger. So this is, as a Scrum Master, you are feeling your way into the situations and guiding the team in that manner. And blocker remover, that's a huge one. The master blocker remover in chief, and we'll talk in a little bit about focus. In order for the team to focus, and everybody's complaining about meetings, that they're running from meeting to meeting to meeting today, who better than the servant leader to go and preemptively and also collect all the things and foster the relationships and break down these barriers for the team, and also help the team break down these barriers themselves, but foster the way and lead the way in removing blockers is one of the truly unspoken virtues that make the Scrum Master so important.
Thank you, Matt, for explaining that wonderfully, because you explained everything in depth and had so much clarity to it. And it also gives us context of why this role of a Scrum Master is so crucial, because the whole team depends on it, and the kind of value that you deliver depends on the kind of Scrum Master and the mindset you have as well, as you drive teams forward. That also brings me to another question. So we see a lot of professionals today who come into Agile with a delivery mindset, tracking tasks, managing deadlines, and just keeping things moving just to meet the deadlines. So at what point does that mindset stop working, and how does a Scrum Master evolve from controlling a team probably, to enablement and empowering the team members?
Oh, another great conversation to be had. Best way I can describe it, it's the biggest transition is from control to enablement. And let me hedge a little bit here. Sometimes when we explain the sharp contrasts, we talk about tasks and assigning tasks and managing tasks as it's a bad thing. And it's not a bad thing. Delivery and delivering fast is not a bad thing. Managing delivery is not a bad thing. That's a skill. Some of the smartest, most valuable contributors and greatest human beings that I know are project managers. I have stepped into that role's shoes myself. And the best way I can illustrate it is the best project managers that I've worked with, they remember a conversation that I don't even remember I had with them 3-4 weeks ago, and with high fidelity, high detail. They remember what I told them and kind of what happened in that exact situation, and I'm at awe with these human beings. The downside, the upside of that is that they're great at controlling and managing, literally hands-on managing work, like we just mentioned, assigning tasks. And this is phenomenal because they're on top of risk, scope, budget, labor, everything, right? The iron triangle. Downside of this at times in the right context, when we have more complexity in the organization, is it gets harder and harder to cycle all of the information through this one person. Phenomenal as they are, when you have too many variables, too many balls in the air, eventually even the most skillful project manager needs to almost delegate and kind of hand off that risk and that responsibility to the team. So we have in the industry, and in some contexts, when there's less complexity, we can stay within that control set and truly controlling projects and products for that matter. But when we have more complexity in the work, we find that leaders, Scrum Masters and other leaders, find themselves in position that we need to infuse teams more and truly enable them, meaning help them co-create that system of that self-organization, self-management, because the people closest to the work, as you'll find out in the Agile principles, are the best people to get the work done. And so the role shifts from assigning the task, controlling, and having that tight control, and control again is not a bad thing, to sharing that control and making sure that we're creating slight checks and balances so that we still have the structures, but we're enabling the teams, the people within the teams, our team members, to really take on these responsibilities. So you guys all have heard of Google, now ABC. Correct me if I'm wrong. But maybe it's been 15 years ago, they did the biggest study that it's ever been done. And what they found out is that psychological safety is the biggest factor that determines success on the teams. It was an effort, and anywhere you go, almost university, they'll tell you, hey, this person is a great contributor because they work really fast. Susie is putting on a great effort. Sujit is very fast. But in reality, what the study, the biggest, literally biggest studies with the most teams ever studied, showed that psychological safety is the #1 predictor if teams will be high achieving teams. And continuous improvement, last but not least, you need that psychological safety, you need that enablement for people to have the courage, and remember that word courage, it will come up in a few slides, to have the courage to make mistakes, because if we don't gamble just a little bit, if we don't take a little bit of measured risk, and sometimes we need to take risk aggressively in order to innovate aggressively, we won't get into that continuous improvement state. And when I say gamble a little bit, I'm talking about experiments and doing measured experience. I'm going to pause here because there's so much to it, and that's why I need you guys in the CSM class for SimplyLearn. Sweta, what else do we have?
Yeah, I think first I would really like to highlight that point where you mentioned about the psychological safety and how the teams are managed by these great leaders, and the impact of these leaders as well. So they drive the teams forward, and CSM is obviously a very important role also, because it's not just about you, but it's also about the team that you are driving for and the kind of safety and support that you provide to the team as well. So some great points here. And that brings me to the next section of the webinar, which is mastering Scrum principles, and how you can use these in your CSM prep as well. So Matt, my first question to you regarding this is about the 3 pillars of Scrum. There are some of our participants are new to CSM and are attempting this exam for the first time, and some are completely new. So could you please explain the 3 pillars of Scrum and how one can use this if they are already practicing Scrum at their work, and how can they use this while preparing for the exam as well?
Okay, well, I'm going to give you 2 secrets. One small one and one bigger one. The small secret is that these 3 appear constantly in scenario questions. So your prep for the exam, for the CSM exam, starts now. And I'm being facetious a little bit, but they do. And the bigger secret is that agility is made possible by the many frameworks out there. Its power, it's not Agile in general. The power of Agile is not about driving work and delivery. Its power is about it being a diagnostic system, and all the frameworks of Agile that truly carry all the traits of agility at their core, they are diagnostic frameworks. So diagnostic meaning you will get some instant gains just by means of organizing and thinking differently and taking advantage of some of their wisdom, but we who live by these frameworks value transparency, inspection, and adaptation, and these are the 3 pillars of Scrum, graciously borrowed from the plan, do, check, act of Lean and the early Toyota methods, meaning that we need transparency. You need to be able find things, visualize. We need to create the right cadences, the right feedback loops, to create the conditions to uncover things. And then the inspection part, which is also extremely important. So transparency enables inspection. Inspection is when we check things. We check what works, we check what that doesn't work. The variances, the regular check-ins, the regular what we call feedback loops. Everything in Scrum, everything in Agile, more or less that is more formalized in one shape or another serves as a feedback loop, meaning you have multiple opportunities to provide feedback. So that's where the inspection is, right? You make it visible and then you review it. That's the inspection. But what's the point of knowing? What's the point of constantly checking? And these are the people addicted to metrics. You know who you are. No, I'm joking. But you know who they are in the company, addicted to metrics, but they never course correct the ship, right? So one and the other. Metrics are important, and I'm joking around, but sometimes they can go out of hand. You know, what's the point of having too many metrics when you don't actually do something with it? So I'm being facetious, but I want to illustrate that transparency, inspection, and adaptation. When you inspect, you find the lessons to be learned, and then adaptation, you take the action items or the experiments that you need to design or the lessons to be learned. You try to learn. So transparency, inspection, and adaptation in tandem. Truly, we talk of them as pillars because that's truly the foundation of agility as Scrum in particular, as a framework that helps you uncover better ways and better products.
Right. Thank you for explaining that in detail. So now that we know about the pillars of Scrum, Matt, when you work with teams in real world, frameworks sometimes look fine on paper but still fall apart. There are some difficulties that come their way. In your experience, how much of Scrum success really comes down to values in general, and where do you usually see teams struggle? Also, for someone who's new to Scrum, could you just explain the Scrum values and how one can adopt them as
Yes, absolutely. The Scrum values. This is the part where those of us who and anybody who has been in a Scrum class, because they're so universal and because they're so powerful, it just seems like something they repeated to you in school, in college, at work, on the wall, right? The company values. So people start falling asleep and glancing over. But I will tell you, the values are extremely important. And those of us who know them and understand them, you can walk into a company literally in 5 minutes, start overhearing conversations that teammates are having between themselves, or you walk into a certain Scrum event, and within 5 minutes or less, just by knowing these values and understanding, you can quickly pinpoint all types of things that potentially are that could be detractors to a team's flexibility or a team's ability to be able to be nimble in the delivery of a product. So starting with commitment, the true number one here. There's an exam after that. There's one number one that is not a true number one. Here, the true number one is commitment. So what it means is not about getting the team and rope them into promising a deadline or promising that they will deliver something as a huge stretch goal, that unbelievable type of effort. And those are sometimes required. Who am I to say no? But when we say commitment here, we're talking more about teams that are goal-oriented. We're talking about having that Northern Star and committing, understanding our own abilities, understanding each other as a team, and being goal-oriented, being willing to formulate goals because we're self-managing, so we're empowered, right? We're self-organizing, we've organized ourselves in a certain way that we believe and we know that works and how it works. We're marching towards certain goals. So goal-oriented, objective-oriented here. Number 2 is focus. And I talked earlier about meetings. Usually that's the first thing I hear when I talk about what's not going right in with your team or with your company. We have to find a way to find focus. Yes, Scrum has its mechanics. They're minimal, but they still take about 20% of the time. But we have to ensure that as much as possible of that other 80% of the time, the team is not distracted. Yes, I mean, feedback loops and constant communication is helpful, but we also have to ensure that the team finds that focus for them. Then we have openness. It's about not holding back. It's about that open line of communication. And just to illustrate it, I'm going to give you an example because it's a very big word, right? Openness. Walk into a team or your team tomorrow at work, or maybe even your circle of friends. Why not, right? And hear your friends or coworkers talking about other coworkers they work with is us or them, especially if you're a circle of friends or if you're a team. Just listen in on that team and listen for that. Do they say them or do they say us? So it's the same about team, stakeholders. Is the stakeholders them or is it us? That goes back to the commitment. Are we all marching towards the same goal? Do we have the same objective? So it kind of all ties together. So that's the second number 1 that looks like a 3. So trust me, if you look at it, it looks like a 1, but this is a 3. And this is a trick for you guys. All right, so respect. Respect goes without saying. Respect is, do you ever encounter in real life, again, your friendship circle or at work, the quiet people? And isn't it amazing when the quiet people speak up and everybody says, wow, Sujit hardly ever speaks. But when Sujit speaks, things happen. It just the right words, the right decisions. He steers us towards just things fall in line when Sujit speaks. But you know what? The other 90%, Sujit is listening intently, and that's why you need to respect the Sujits of the world. And this is just one example, right? Respect the team members for who they are, and we build teams around capable, resourceful. So treat people as capable, resourceful, and independent individuals and professionals. And that energy will come back to you. Believe me, respect will become reciprocal. Then, last but not least, we have courage. It's not always easy to do the right thing. Sometimes, not our job, but reputation can suffer. This is why we need to have the courage. If we want to innovate, we will make some mistakes. We will take some steps sideways, and some experiments will make us look like we're wasting a ton of company time and money, really. But at the end of the day, if you have that relentless pursuit to do the right thing and reach that objective for the team and for yourself, you're going to need that courage. And as a team, you need to be able to foster that courage and engage in a courageous way with the team, with stakeholders, and really anybody in that ecosystem. So all these 5, they're eternal. They're those principles. They're the values that us. Let me tell you real quick, just another 5 seconds, how important these are. Anytime I've seen a Scrum team dive into trouble, or some troubled times have come for whatever reason, maybe just it's not their fault, and things just don't seem to be working, and things are not jiving. One of the best things that I have seen Scrum Masters do is go back and see, how is our courage showing up in this moment? Or this meeting went sideways. What is it? Is it focus, openness, respect? Is there anything within the values that we appreciate and we live by so much off whack? And you'll be surprised how many good, fulfilling and insightful conversations will come out of that. And to me, that's the true testament, that not because they sound good, but it's because they're extremely useful to reverse engineer the things that are happening within a team, which shows that these values, many years after they were created by the two creators of Scrum, are still live and well and useful.
Thanks for emphasizing how important and useful these values are. As everyone once prepares for the exam, completes it, the point is that you can always go back and go down to these values and implement those in your experiences as well. Actually, we've gotten one question from LinkedIn, and this person says that he is currently exploring Scrum and is confused about the Scrum rules, and which was also the next slide that we were going to be talking about. So, Matt, could you briefly explain the kind of the Scrum rules that are out there, and for beginners, how can they choose the right kind of roles when it comes to Scrum?
Okay, all right. Best way I can describe it in the shortest way is, we used to have these top-down, and when I say top-down, really high up there, top-down roles, delegating. And we still have them, because delegation is a very useful tool within organizations, until you get on a team level where we're in the trenches, we're quickly making decisions so quickly that it's becoming inefficient to go back up and down and ask for quote-unquote permission and filter everything through someone else. So with decentralizing and empowering teams, we took all the things that the project manager, some of the managers, other leaders, other experts even, were helping teams with prior, and they're still there. We can still consult with them. They can even sit beside us and help us. But we distributed a lot of the things that the project manager, the managers, and some of the experts, subject matter experts, were doing before. And because of that, instead of just having a development team, we expanded the team into a product owner, Scrum Master, and the development team. So the product owner is the person that clarifies the requirements, the priority, but there is one word out there that really captures the essence of the product owner, and that is driving value and maximizing value. And as the role's name speaks to us, the product owner is the person responsible and to understand the what and the why of the products, and truly understand and empathize with the users, with the stakeholders, and other leaders, internal and external, within the organization. So some of these responsibilities, they have authority over the requirements or over the backlog, the live list of things that we're going to do, to be done. And then we have the Scrum Master, and the Scrum Master is the leader that makes it all work. So they are the role that kind of as the glue of the team, that serves the team. They help the team, enable the team to adapt Scrum, right, the operating system of the team. And they're also making things easier for them. So they're the leader, but they're the leader from behind, in a sense. They're not a top-down leader. And then we have the development team, and you'll find it surprising, but the development team also took on some of that accountability that is distributed, because now the product owner has the what and the why, but the development team is the one that decides how things are going to be done. So, and you're probably wondering, okay, but what happens in real life with these self-organizing professionals that deliver that potentially shippable increments? Well, it is on the development team to decide how they're going to solution. They are fully in charge on how they're going to get the work done, meaning of course, they have to demonstrate it and agree on it as a team, product owner, Scrum Master, and developers. But real quick, your real life question leads me to the belief that you're probably looking at business analyst, and maybe you're a developer, and this is why I'm guessing you're confused about the roles. You're probably thinking of project manager. You're probably thinking of architect. Where does the architect sit? Is the architect on the team? And Scrum is agnostic. As long Scrum says, give me all the people with all the right skills to get the work done and put them into a development team. Now they'll still shine as a star if that's a phenomenal AWS Amazon developer that's an all-star. They will still shine as a professional, and they will still be an all-star developer and be valued by the company and compensated accordingly, but they will just operate slightly different. They will now share a lot of the responsibilities with other people on the team, and so the focus shifts from me to us. And then the question becomes, can this all-star developer function in an environment where it's all about us? So then we have, for example, somebody who is an automated tester of software, and that maybe that's their title, maybe it's not, but that's the function they're best at. And maybe they also are all-star UI, UX, or user experience expert, and they also do that for the team. So in essence, we say, okay, what are the people that have the skill sets spread amongst them that can get the job done? And when we say development team, we say product development team, but then the functions, then the org chart or the titles stay separate. Well, we'll still have testers, developers, we'll have business analysts, UI, UX, whatever other roles on the team. But in this case, we wonder and we care, can they melt so much into their skills? So if the tester is more technical, they can go and help a little bit with testing and help the team deliver at the end of the sprint or the end of the iteration, deliver a fully functional increment. So the egos are out, the titles are out, and the thing that matters is delivering that thing we promised to the customer is the top and utmost thing, important thing for us. And the Scrum Master supports it, by enabling the team and helping the team in any way they can, helping reduce blockages, but also helping infuse the team with habits and skills in order to function, be a highly functional team in a Scrum framework environment. And I explain what the product owner does. So in a way, the old roles don't go out. They just get distributed in a slightly different way in Scrum.
That was a very good explanation of the Scrum rules out there, and I think it clarified his question as well. So thank you for that. Up till now, we actually talked about what Scrum is supposed to look like, and when it's done right, we spoke about the mindset. But we also know that there are some common misconceptions or myths that are out there when it comes to being a Scrum Master or related to CSM role as well. As a mentor, I'm sure you have seen this before. So, what are some of the common myths that you have come across, and how can one identify those, and how can they actually understand that this is a myth?
Oh, excellent. This is probably my favorite slide of the deck. This slide alone could probably pass your exam because the Certified Scrum Master, although behind it there's some extremely sound objectives, very detailed and numerous objectives, This maybe is the slide that encompasses, if you understand this and the meaning behind it, you will understand a lot of the mechanics behind Scrum. That will be extremely useful for you. I laugh here, but Scrum means no planning. I hear this all the time. We're planning too much. Let's stop planning. We can't, for a 2-week sprint, we can't take away an hour or 2 hours. Too many meetings. This is just another meeting for me. And people say also, and people will say, we shouldn't plan because Scrum has no planning. Virtually everything we do in Scrum is planning and replanning. Basically, Scrum is almost devious in the way it's designed to include these inspect and adapt little feedback loops. Everything in Scrum, every event, every mechanism there is an inspect and adapt mechanism, meaning, but we also act, inspect and adapt. So to adapt, we have to make some significant changes. So, but once we inspect, we have to make a short plan. We can't just willy-nilly, even in Agile, we can be only so flexible. We need to have some tangibles there. So we constantly plan and replan in Scrum. It's a huge myth. It's almost 180 degrees the opposite. Scrum is only for software. Scrum left the software realm long time ago, and I don't think we'll ever be able to put Humpty Dumpty back together. Scrum is out to stay within. Anytime you have complexity, Scrum is basically empiricism in disguise. So anytime we have complexity, we maybe will have, and with AI we'll come up with something different or maybe even better. But for now, as far as the human brain and human experience can tell, empiricism is the best mechanism to handle complexity. And Scrum is easily digestible form of empiricism that can be used out of the box in the marketplace. Then another myth, Scrum guarantees faster delivery. Yeah, Scrum can make you a little bit faster, but really over time, maybe you get a bump. Most studies, credible studies that I've seen initially, Scrum may, not always, but often can give you a bump of productivity, but after the bump of productivity, you're eventually going to settle into a steady form. And this is when people say, oh, well, what good is it for me? Well, this is really like conservative investing. You don't see interest build up, but you look back and you go, wow, that investment was a really, really good idea because that is a valuable company that I invested into it. It's not going crazy, but in the last 15 years, it has continuously given me yields without a fail. And this is how continuous improvement works. It will give you many benefits. It won't always be speed. Speed will be one of them, but it goes to show that I think the catchphrase here is guarantees. Scrum may lead to a faster delivery. A lot of the efficiencies that you'll find that play well with Scrum almost certainly will at some point, but continuous improvement alone is worth it and is the main benefit of Scrum. And then the status reports and the daily Scrum. I remember when I said that we constantly plan. I'm just going to go back to that and just share that Scrum, as designed, as empirically proven to be one of the most effective communication methods, bears its strength into ability to inspect and adapt, and the adaptation is what we're missing. Yeah, we can inspect, and there is some status in inspection. There's nothing wrong with status, and but we have remember, we visualize, we um, the transparency part of Scrum helps us visualize, and therefore we can see the status just by visualizing our work and our statuses. But what's really more important about using these 15 minutes of the daily Scrum to their fullest is the ability to able to quickly inspect what is not happening, or if things are going according to plan, and then adapt by creating another plan. How do we modify the plan? Because we have a goal at the end of the sprint to deliver an increment. Where are we? What do we need to do to be on track of achieving our goal? I
Great.
love these. I know
Yeah.
you guys will be taking the Certified Scrum Master. These are almost ready-made questions for you guys to study right there.
Thanks for actually clarifying all of those myths out there and for giving us an understanding of what Scrum really is and what Scrum Masters actually do. And we have already spoken about what Agile really means and how Scrum works in practice, and also about the mindset. And I see a few participants who are currently studying for Agile and for the CSM exam. So, as
Okay.
a mentor, also, I just wanted to quickly ask you, what are some tips that you can give them, or some insights that you can share with anyone who's preparing for the CSM exam in terms of the exam format, the question types, and the duration, and how any tips that you may have from your end on how to clear the exam?
Okay. All right. That's a great one. So remember, 50 questions, 60 minutes. It's scenario based. Speed comes from clarity, not from rushing. And so that I cannot overemphasize. So I have myself have certified over 100 certified Scrum Masters in that came from the wild and passed this exam. So the biggest piece of wisdom that I can give you is whenever you're reading, whenever you're going through the materials, think experiential. Think of how would this play out in a scenario. A really good if you're reading through a paragraph, or you're listening to going through back to the recordings of your trainer, or whatsoever, or whatever, you can you close your eyes and you think, okay, I can really imagine it that what I just read happening on a team, or you immediately example is popping up in your head. That means you're in good shape. So the key is understanding, and understanding how it plays out in an example, in an experiential matter. And the questions are not gotcha questions. The questions are straight to the point. This is the great thing about this exam. This exam is not designed to torture you, and I can assure that all of you are going to pass. Just make sure that you think in terms of understanding how it plays out in the wild, because I believe that all of the questions will be done in that matter.
Right. And there's one more question regarding the scores. So we constantly see that there are some people who get really high scores when compared to the others, and I'm sure you would have seen that throughout your career as well. So what actually distinguishes scorers, and what do they do differently? So if someone's aiming for a good score in the CSM exam, what kind of strategy can they use?
Yes, another great question. Um, well, the best thing to do is to think like Scrum Masters and not like students. Good Scrum Master understands that they don't have to understand everything. They don't have to know, well, they have to understand most of all, but they don't have to know everything. So focus on understanding the principles, the values, and the mechanics and the exercises out there. The CSM is built around objectives, And so everything that your instructor does, and these are extremely well-prepared instructors, has a meaning. So what I will do is, one, I would enjoy myself because it's a very enjoying process. They make sure that they make it very interactive and experiential for you guys. And number two, kind of always think and wonder, why are they telling me? Why are they making me do this? What is the point? Just kind of repeat and conceptualize what you're hearing. So understand. Don't get too hung up on the theory. Think of it in terms, and your instructors will make it into simple games and will give you simple metaphors and examples and scenarios. But time management is extremely important as well. So be comfortable. Make sure you understand what they're asking you. Draw back to the class. Draw back to some of the simple exercises. If something seems like it was kind of done in a similar way during the class, there's a good reason. The exam is prepared exactly according to the objectives, and the trainers of CSM trainers are drilled extremely strongly to create their materials based on these very same objectives. So everything that shows up on the exam is already being covered by your trainer. So think back about the training, and I would read the Scrum Guide, also the Scrum Guide, and based on your previous understanding, just trust your instincts and what you learned and apply it onto the exam. And this is what I tell the students: the highest achieving students are the ones that are contextually understanding the training.
Thank you for explaining that and for giving us clarity on that as well. That also brings me to SimplyLearn CSM certification, and this is a structured learning path for all of you out there. So I'll just quickly take a minute and briefly explain what we cover in SimplyLearn CSM certification and highlight what makes this program valuable for professionals preparing for this exam. So as you can see on the screen, this program is built to be practical and exam aligned, like Matt mentioned previously. You're trained by certified Scrum trainers and everything follows Scrum Alliance standards. So what you learn directly maps to what the exam tests. You'll also get hands-on training, real Scrum scenarios, and Scrum education units you need. And the CSM exam fee is also included as a part of the course, along with a free retake option, which actually takes a lot of pressure off of you and lets you focus on the learning process. We also provide a clear exam guidance, practice resources, and also mock tests. So you know exactly where you stand before the exam day. So the idea that we have is very simple. By the time you sit for the CSM exam, you're not just guessing. We want you to be confident and we want you to be prepared. And that is exactly what this program offers you. And you have mentors like Matt leading these sessions. So I'm sure you have an understanding of what you can expect as well. So this is the main goal of the CSM certification that we offer at SimplyLearn. Apart from that, we also have a slide on the course curriculum. So since Matt is a mentor with us, I would really like to pass this on to Matt. So Matt, could you just briefly walk us through what's covered and what they can expect if they join this certification program with us?
Yes, this is a class that I like this graphic because it makes me go whoa, 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 whoa. You know, it's like a rapids. It's like being in a water park. You know, you just your body's all over the place, and you stop here, and all of a sudden something grabs you, and you start doing. It's kind of like that. The exercises. It's rapid. It's fun. But it's also very comprehensive, and you have a lot of things to sink in. But be be well rested beforehand and go through it and enjoy it. I still draw back, believe it or not, to things that I learned when I took my CSM class with an instructor to this day. What it covers: Agile foundations. So think of it: the 4 values, the 12 principles, difference between Agile and other ways of working. Then after the kind of the broad umbrella, things will narrow down, and you'll jump into Scrum frameworks and core principles. So this is the the philosophy and the foundations itself of Scrum that you have to cover. So these are probably the more meaty and the more term heavy parts of it, but it will be done in a very entertaining and very well and easy to absorb way within games that you'll be able to learn these in a hurry. And then all of a sudden you'll get into the structure with the Scrum roles and responsibilities, more or less the checks and balances, then going through the mechanics, Scrum events and artifacts that build the lightweight but basic structure within Scrum. And then before you know it, you'll be jumping into actually how things are done on an actual team. So you will be doing things, for example, like relative estimation, which is in general a very hard concept to grasp, but with some very, very easy to follow, fun games and instructions, you'll arrive yourself and learn before you know it on how to do that. And then capstone learning and practical insights. That's that teach back moment where you have to do a little bit of demonstration and do the self-reflection part. And this is where I really wanted to also say earlier, maybe that's what I was missing. It's not only understanding, but the self-reflection part that is going to help you get through, learn and go through this curriculum. So it's everything, like I mentioned earlier. You don't need to cram for this, for the exam and to prepare and in order to go through the Certified Scrum Master. Everything out there that you'll ever need will be provided within the course curriculum. So I want to make sure that other than maybe the Scrum Guide is the one thing that, like Sweta said earlier, but other than that, more than everything, be prepared, but be prepared to go through a lot of exercise, play hard and learn hard in this course.
Thank you for sharing that, Matt. And I hope this clarifies a few questions that we had on YouTube regarding the kind of curriculum that we cover during the course. And in the interest of time, we will not be able to go into depth with skills and benefits. But Matt, can you just briefly walk us through the kind of skills and benefits one can have if they enroll for this course?
I'm going to shorten this and say all the things that you ever need to do in a Scrum team. And so the funny thing is you'll be going through a lot of games because there's no way for you to understand how a finance Scrum team that is working within a finance environment or a medical environment, right? They're night and day. But you will, at a very basic level, you will get all the mechanics and you will experience literally what an actual Scrum team does. And you'll be walked through an issue tracking in some way, even if it's just moving stickies around some way, shape, or form. You will go through issue tracking, communications. There will be a few scenarios where you'll be role playing there with stakeholders, whether that's impediment removal, and you're demonstrated on how important impediment removal. Maybe it's a ping pong game. Maybe it's a stakeholder scenario. But what you will walk out of is this, what you see on this slide, and beyond. There are probably dozens of objectives that you will walk out of, and each objective is tied to an actual skill that you will experience on a real life team. And just look at the salaries. I mean, SimplyLearn guarantees a 50% bump for people that are certified through CSM. So do I need to say more?
No, I think you've covered all the points. And so thank you for sharing that with the audience. I'll quickly take you all through some of the success stories that we've had. So it's one thing to hear about the course from our side, but here are some of our learner stories, just to give you a brief idea of what CSM could do for you and how it has impacted their lives as well. So Sugant Rajan recently completed this course with us and secured the position of a senior project manager at Bosch Global Software Technologies with a 30% salary hike. Karthik also secured a 35% salary hike and got placed as an assistant manager QA at Solve. And he was also able to clear the exam in the very first attempt. So these are some real stories out there. You can actually go check our website and you will be able to see many more of our learners share their experiences as well. So I hope this kind of gives you an idea of the kind of experience that our learners have. And I can see a few questions regarding the course and the course fees and the batches. So for the course fee for Indian learners, the course fee is 17,135 rupees, and for US learners, it's $349. And we have multiple batches starting over and over. So you can go to our website and you can check the CSM course. So you can choose whatever slot, whichever batch works for you. And we have batches coming up every week. And this investment, so you can consider this an investment in for a lot of things, because as a part of this course you get 2 to 3 days of online virtual training. Along with that, like I mentioned earlier, the CSM exam fee is also covered as a part of this program. You will also be given a 2-year membership with Scrum Alliance, and you will be trained by globally acclaimed certified Scrum trainers. And you will also be eligible for PDUs and SCUs, which you can, which is also a criteria if you are planning on taking up writing any other exams like PMP or anything that you prefer. So that is about CSM, and we have already extended the session by quite a few minutes. So I'll quickly move on to the next slide. So if anyone is interested to enroll for this program or would like to know more about this program, you can actually click on the yes option. So I'll launch a poll and our team will reach out to you and they will be able to help you with all of your questions related to this program. If you're interested to know more and about the trainers, about the schedules and the timing, they will reach out to you as soon as possible. So you can let us know. I have launched the poll. I hope it's visible to all of you. Okay, all right. I can see a few responses. And I think this is also a good time for questions. If anyone has any questions, you can let us know that as well. And I will pass on your questions to Matt. I think I have a few questions from YouTube, and it says so there's a question about the scope of Scrum in 2030 and beyond. So, Matt, what are your thoughts on this? Like, does Agile and Scrum have scope in 20? What is the scope of Agile and Scrum 2030 and beyond?
The scope of, if I'm understanding the question correctly, where it's going?
Yes.
I think the best way to answer it is, oh, I'll admit, I I don't know what anything is going to be at 2030. The world is so crazy right now, even the marketing world. What I do know, though, is the principles and the values between Scrum and in general in Agile are, you can't put it back in the box. I mean, it's been proven with so many teams that have actually taken it to heart and have been able to enliven it. That maybe Scrum Alliance and CST will change and SimplyLearn will teach a slightly different course, but in some shape or form, Scrum and Agile will endure, or at least the building blocks of Scrum and Agile will endure. And of course, when we're talking about AI and when things get hyper fast and we already have teammates that are using AI, things will get interesting. I'm gonna guess that no matter how fast we get, the core prioritization and optimization of the backlog, understanding stakeholders to a great degree, all of these ingredients, and I can go forever on all the important things that we get into Scrum and Agile, but yeah, I think in some shape, in one way or another, I can bet you that if you go back and look at the SimplyLearn website, if we're using websites in 2030, who knows what kind of virtual thing we'll be using. But you come back to SimplyLearn, it might not be called Scrum or Agile, but SimplyLearn will have something that has the ingredients of Scrum and Agile because it's so powerful and it's eternal. That's the best way that I can answer it.
Thank you for your answer, Matt. I hope that clarifies your question. And with that, I'm going to end this poll here. If you are still interested and you would like to check it out, you can go to our website, and the CSM program is out there. So you can just,
Just a, I
yeah.
have a 2-second answer. Billy Adams is asking, when does the course start and end? It's a 16-hour course, so it's a 2-day course. There are many offerings within SimplyLearn, so whichever one you find is going to be a 2-day course. I just wanted to hit that one up. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I know you were
No,
closing
no
down.
problem at all. So I think a lot of you have also been waiting for the certificate. So I will launch a poll for the certificate as well. You can fill up the form and you will be receiving your certificates within 48 hours of this webinar. You will also be receiving the recording and the slide deck to your email IDs. So you can just fill up your full name and you will be receiving all of this information. Um, as they are filling that up, I think we can take one last question. I think it's from Jermaine, and he's asking, how can I combine the Scrum certification with procurement?
This is a great question. Scrum certification with procurement. I would swing towards Scrum and finance, and mixing either Scrum and finance or some type of Scrum, combining Scrum with finance. You can definitely take advantage of the inspection and adaptation, and but because procurement is having so, I'm thinking of procurement and where complexity hides into procurement. So I'm going to answer it this way. Whenever and whatever complexity and the complex part of procurement is, you can use a slightly modified, simplified version of Scrum to handle the complexity of these moments. You can isolate them and separate the complex parts of your work into some type of work list, backlog, and you can use Scrum to pace yourself through small short periods of running experiments or trying to tackle or attack those type of problems separately. But if you want to formalize it a lot more, like a high level procurement that is tied into finance, there's a lot out there that you can look up on Agile and finance and go that route.
Thank you. Thank you
That,
for answering that, Matt. I
Mhm.
hope that gives him clarity. With that, I'm going to end this poll as well. And I would like to take this time to first thank Matt for being such a wonderful speaker. And as always, and for sharing your insights with the audience. I'm sure everyone enjoyed this as much as I did. And before we end the session, I just want to quickly ask you one piece of advice for everyone who has joined us today and who's still there as a part of this call.
One advice from me,
Yeah.
you know it, so I always do the same thing. Hey, if when you're learning all this stuff, and if you have a Scrum has a weird draw, right? I fell into it on accident, and it was almost like magic. If you experience the same things, I want you to know that you don't need to get a job as a Scrum Master to become one. That's the biggest secret that nobody knows. It is the mindset. It is if it tugs at you, if it's something that you feel a draw towards, definitely go explore it. It's a very different animal and a very different mindset than anything that you've ever done. For me, I never saw a day of work. It was always fun and discovery, and it always activated my curiosity when I was working within Scrum and Agile in general. So if you find that same draw, or at least it triggers your curiosity, I would say pursue it, because there is always more room for another good Scrum Master or Scrum practitioner out there.
All right, that was great advice, Matt, as always. So thank you once again for joining us. And for everyone who stayed back till the end of the webinar, thank you all for joining us. It was wonderful hosting all of you, and we hope that we provided value through this webinar. If you have any feedbacks, please feel free to mail us at webinars@simplylearn.net. And please continue to join us for the upcoming webinars as well. Thank you all once again, and I hope to see all of you soon.
And thanks for providing the platform, Sweta.
Yeah, thank you.